Hey everybody, it's me, the Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl, and yes, I am still smiling. This is session 4 today. I hope for those of you who join us for the fourth time that you are enjoying the show. Apparently you must be if you are joining us 4 times in one day. But I really do appreciate that. You know, someone had said earlier that she got addicted and now she waits for the next show to come on. Well, I hope to be able to bring you something of value each time we get together. And even one of our personal friends says he's going to start binge watching because he's learning about knitting as he's watching the shows. So here we are. It is our 6 p.m. show, and something that I thought I would talk about is working with gradient yarns and using 2 different skeins at the same time. This beautiful shawl was crocheted by my dear friend Lois Arsenault, who, as I mentioned earlier on one of the earlier shows, does some crochet work for me. And she's an amazing crochet artist, I call her. And this piece was worked using 2 different colors of gradient yarn. So I don't actually have these with me. This was top rainbow. But I can show you sort of the same idea using this Infinity Shawl yarn. So this is Infinity Shawl by Katya. Actually, Top Rainbow's by Katya as well. And when you work the gradients and you use the 2 skeins at the same time, where you're actually knitting or crocheting a few rows with one and then a few rows with the other, it creates that mosaic look that that you would see, but it's just in more stripes than it is in mosaic such as this. So you get the idea of that, but you see more of the striping effect with the colors running through, especially in crochet. So, just to give you an idea, the name of this pattern is 2 Cakes to Tango, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it is worked from the center, from the top out, and you can see how beautiful those colors blended together just using 2 skeins or 2 balls of gradient yarn. So something to think about when you're considering your next project. And I love it. It's a cotton, this one, and it is warm as can be. Thank you, Lois, for putting that together for us. So speaking of warm, the sun is setting. It's getting chilly out. And especially down here in the warehouse, it can get a little cool, which made me think about winter projects. And this morning we talked about chunky and super chunky yarns. And I just wanted to give you a few ideas of projects. Like this is a great little 1 skein project using the Louisa Harding Enorme. And that's just, I love the way it's toasty, it's warm, it's a simple hat. Just, a ribbed bottom with a stockinette. And look at that pom-pom on the top. Isn't that fun? It reminds me of an ice cream cone with those colored, what do you call those? Sprinkles. Colored sprinkles on there. And then this is just another hat. And this has got the snap, the pom-pom poly snap pom-poms. And again, just a simple beanie using the Ushia by Mirasol. Again, a 1 skein project. Sometimes we just want that quick knit, and this is a great way to do it. So that's another Toot Sweet. This is just, I'm thinking a young knitter, somebody who just really enjoys getting those projects done fast. Would love Toot Sweet. And what I did with that was I took a skein of black, a skein of white, worked them together in a big block pattern, and I put pockets at the bottom. So simple, one black pocket, 1 white pocket. And that's a fun little scarf to throw together. No time, fast. Big needles, big yarn, done in a heartbeat. Sit outside in an afternoon. And you know what's nice about something like this? If you're working on it in the summer, in the warm weather, it's narrow enough that, it's not like knitting a blanket where it's going to be sitting on your lap. So this is another fun summer project that you can do with a heavier yarn. And the Toot Sweet is, let's see, there are how many yards on here? We have 66 yards, and it is an acrylic and wool blend. So fun, throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer, quick knit, can't hurt it. And then the
Elaine Peacock says, gorgeous shawl.
Thank you, Elaine Peacock. Lois, that's your accolade. The LRA Lush Merino.
Anna Maria Milani, here I am again.
Well, I'm glad to see you, Anna Marie. This is great to have you here. So, the Super Lush Merino by LRA. This is a roving. It's a roving yarn. It's not the roving that you would use, not thick enough for those super, super thick blankets, but certainly you could double it if you like those. But what I like to do with this is, just a little cowl. Look at that. It's cast on, join in the round, knit, add on your second row, your second color. So what's nice about this is you get a skein of each, and you can get more than one piece out of it. So here you go. Yep, nice little, just a little neck warmer for the winter. Fun, huh? Okay. So those are just some quick projects you can make using the super chunky yarns. And, speaking of super chunky yarns, made me think of gifts. Don't forget, Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl has knittable arrangements. And we can customize a gift package for you. I don't have an arrangement here. I'll have to grab one for the next show. It's okay. People have seen them online. They can go on to nittygrittyyarngirl.com and click on knittable arrangements, and you will see all the different ideas. And what we've done with the arrangements is we price them by size. So, you can order an arrangement for $35, and it will be a beautiful little arrangement. As a matter of fact, I showed before let's walk over here real quick now that I'm thinking of it. My goodness. Okay, so I showed this yarn before. I can take this package, take it apart, put it into an arrangement with, little accoutrement flowers and some stitch holders and just little things to add together to that kit, and set it up in an arrangement like a little floral bouquet. And these ship anywhere in the world. So, right now, people are homebound. They're making sure they don't go out. I hate to use the phrase sheltering in place, because it reminds me of too many bad things in the world. But, just staying safe and staying home. Wouldn't it be nice to have a knittable arrangement arrive at your door? So if you happen to know of someone who is homebound, or, we're all homebound, and who you think would enjoy something like that, please go to nittygrittyyarngirl.com and let me know what price range you want to spend, and I'll consult with you as to what kind of yarns you would like to have in there. So that's just a thought that came to me while we were chatting. Okay, so we have knittable arrangements I talked about. So what I wanted to do, this afternoon session went really well with the little sock making or sock starting instructions, or toe-up socks. One thing that concerns a lot of knitters, they get a little bit antsy about knitting, is cables. And cables are really not difficult. And when I teach knitting, what I tell people is, when you learn how to knit and you learn how to purl, the only other thing you need to do is learn how to read a pattern, because every pattern is a combination of knit and purl stitches to create the motif that you're going to have. And cabling is a motif in knitting. So let's show a cable over here. And if you look at this detail here, these are your cables, those little V's, right? And those cables do not always look like these. So what I did was I went online and I grabbed an image of different cables just to give you an idea. So cables can be very intricate, or they can be very simple. You can create hearts with cables. It's just all a matter of reading the instructions. So what exactly is a cable? When you're creating a cable, what you're doing is holding stitches to be used at a later time. And that later time comes really quickly depending on, based on the pattern that you're working. So what I did was I took the cable pattern for the poncho that we were looking at before. And if you've not knitted cables before, again, it's all about listening to what the pattern is telling you. Read it step by step by step. So in this,
Anna Maria says lots of great knitting tips and advice.
thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying them. So for this cable, what it tells me to do is it tells me to slip my first stitch. Now the first part of the cable can be a little bit tricky because you only have one stitch on the needle right here. If you're working in the middle of a row, it's easier. So then it tells me to take my next 3 stitches and place them on a cable holder. You'll need a cable holder. They come in all different shapes and sizes. And take those next 3 stitches, put them on the cable holder. And hold them in the back of my work. So I'm going to hold these stitches here until my pattern tells me to use them again. So now what it says is to knit the next 3 stitches. So you hold those in the back. Oh, a tip with knitting cables, don't knit tight. I'm a tight knitter, and I've got to remember to keep my stitches nice and loose when I'm knitting cables so that I don't pull the yarn. I don't have a hard time getting my needle through the yarn. So then it tells me to knit my next 3 stitches. So I knit my next 3 stitches. I'm securing my cable needle so that I don't lose those stitches. Oops. And then it says take the stitches from the cable needle now and knit those. So remember I said we were holding on to them till we need them. Well, now it's time to use them. So we're going to let go of our needle here, or at least secure it so that we don't lose our stitches. And we're going to move our cable needle to the front. Now, very important, don't twist it. The way you took them off is the way they go back. And if you took them off 1, 2, 3, they go back 1, 2, 3. So now you take those stitches that were in the back and you knit those stitches. And then my pattern says to knit 1. You see how I'm creating that little stockinette stitch in there between the left and the right cable. Then it says to take my cable needle and put the next 3 stitches on the needle and hold them in front. So we're going to take those 3 stitches, let them lay in front of my pattern, and then knit the next 3 stitches. And now I'm going to take that cable needle, slide it, and knit the stitches right from that cable needle. 1, 2, and 3. So now if you look at that, you can see that cable beginning to form in that V shape. So now I'll do it one more time to show you the method. Okay, and you repeat it as many times as your pattern tells you to. So now we're in the middle of the row, so it's a little bit easier. You take 1, 2, 3, hold them in the back. Oops, my yarn's got to go in the back. Knit the next 3. Okay, so now this is a good thing that this happened. If the cable needle falls off, don't panic. You can fall down. Those loops are still there. So we're just going to go grab them and put them right back on the cable needle the same way they went off. And then you knit. Oops. Come here, you. 1, 2, 3. Now, it could be a little wiggly jiggly, when you first start, but it's okay. You know, this is how we learn something new. Who was I talking to earlier? Oh, I know. I did a knitting class earlier, and we were on a Zoom call, and the person who was learning said, you know, I have to keep doing this. I'm not sure I'll ever get it right. And my response to her was, you weren't sure you'd ever get to ride a bicycle either until you did, right? So you just don't give up. If you want to knit cables, you just keep practicing cables. Practice on a piece of scrap yarn and until you get it right. I mean, I tell people all the time, practice on scrap yarn. So now we're on the back part of this second cable, so the yarn gets held in the front. We knit the next 3 stitches. And then, see, so by pulling those stitches, by holding them aside and then pulling them over, we're creating that crossover look that you want to have in a cable. So I knit those next 3 stitches. And then, we take our last stitch, and it tells us to purl it in the pattern. And so here we have this cable. I did one section before the class, and now we just did this one. And it's really just all about reading the pattern and listening to what the pattern tells us. If you're confused, there are so many YouTube videos out there about creating different, or how to do different stitches. And we are getting Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl channel on YouTube loaded up with different videos to help you along the way. Sometimes out of every situation comes opportunity. This is one thing I've wanted to do, and now I'm having the opportunity to do it. So be sure to check it out on Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl on YouTube. So we're getting those up and running. Okay, so what I thought we would also talk about this afternoon or this evening was the... this is another yarn by Juniper Moon Farm. You may have seen Moonshine. It's it's a worsted weight. It's a little heavy worsted, but it works up so beautiful. It's an alpaca wool and silk blend. And what I did with that during the holidays, was I created these fun holiday hats. What I did was I did one in the white with red and one in red with white. So you get one skein of each and you make it happen. It's great. So those are fun. No, I'm not going to put one on. So that's Moonshine. And Moonshine comes in a variety of colors, and there's some great patterns by Knitting Fever for these yarns as well that you can create great projects using Moonshine, and it's a fun yarn to work with. The Louisa Harding Amatola Grande is another fun yarn. This is a bulky weight and works up nicely for scarves. What a lot of people do is combine this with... Here, this one would probably work good with it. Actually, I think this one is better. So if you use these two together, let's tiptoe over here for a second. If you put these two together and create this type of a look, how fun would that be? You can do a nice mosaic pattern. Doesn't necessarily have to be just this, but there are so many. It's like mosaic is kind of like cables. There is more than one. There are so many different mosaic styles out there. You saw me wearing my Swancho earlier that has kind of a little zigzag stitch to it in the mosaic. And well, let me get these back in here. What kind of questions? Are there any questions that are coming from the audience at this point? Nothing? They're all just watching and waiting?
Yep. Ann Messina Meek is on.
Oh, hi, Ann. It's nice to have you on the show. And we talked earlier about Jody Long and he's done a great job with this coastline, and this was one that we looked at a little bit earlier. But I thought I'd take a little bit of time because we were running short on time before to talk about the Summer Breeze book that's out with the Jody Long patterns, with the coastline yarn patterns. And these are just so pretty. I absolutely love this Margate. I'm a shawl person. I don't wear coats. I wear ponchos, swanchos, sweaters, not even sweaters a whole lot. I probably like the swancho better. But I just like to throw something on because I hate to be confined in my clothing. So I love little things like this. Though I have yes.
Linda Brial says, do you carry Katya Twisted Paint?
Katya Twisted Paint. I believe you might, hold on one moment. Is this what you mean? Whoopsie. Do you mean this one? It's a gradient by Katya. It comes in, I have several colors, but I think I've never heard of Twisted Paint. I'd have to look at that to see if that's it, but this paint might be what you're looking for. Don't know yet. Okay, well, it's okay. We're going to be here till 6:30, right? So, what I thought I'd do is, just go through a couple of these patterns. I mentioned that I liked the stripe, but look at that. This is a great summer sweater. Now, I'd love to think I was that young still, and I know that I'm not. And that's okay, because what I wind up doing with sweaters like this is I just make them a little bit longer. So, when it's time to start decreasing for your armhole, I just go a little bit further and make sure that my length is good. What I do is I measure a sweater that I like, that I wear often, and I'm comfortable with the length and the fit on. And so then when I'm knitting a sweater, depending, of course, on the armhole, if it's a loose armhole, something like this, I make sure that I'm really comfortable with where that armhole is going to start based on the hemline of the sweater. If you're working top down, which I love working as well, you can measure it as you go along. That's one of the beauties of the interchangeable needles. You can actually take your piece that you're working on and put a couple of interchangeable needle wires together, so you can try on your sweater as you go along, so that you make sure that you're getting those armholes in the right place. You can also use a piece of scrap yarn as well, and that works just as nicely. But it's always good. Like, I have my interchangeable needles. I have that project there sitting on them. So anyway, this is a fun project. I love the little stockinette in the middle there, seed stitch, and
it says Twisted Paint, but what you have may work as it is a gradient. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So if you'd like to message me after the show, I'm happy to go over the different colors that I have in stock, and we can take a look and see if there's something there that you can use. Thank you so much for asking. I wanted to find that pattern for that sweater because I love it. Let's take a peek and see what it says here. Where did it go? Uh-oh. I lost it. I should have checked to see what page it was on. Just want to find it here real quick. Oh, is that it? Nope. There we go. Okay. So with this...
Linda says thanks.
Oh, welcome. So 5, 6, or 7 skeins, and in an extra large 8 skeins. So again, it's, your average size sweater, the average amount of yarn that you would use. It's got some nice positive ease in it to keep you, it's not confining. Again, things that I love the most are things that aren't going to confine me. But everybody, that's the nice thing is there are so many patterns out there. There's something for everyone. Whether you love to knit shawls and or ponchos or sweaters, whatever it is, you're always going to find something that works for you. There are so many resources and so many sources to find great patterns today. I know Knitting Fever has all their patterns right now are free. So, you can go online and find their patterns, and everybody's trying to keep everyone happy and safe during these times. If there's something, if you can't log on, let me know, and I'll look for some patterns for you if there's something that you wanted to see. So this Summer Breeze book, any of these colors here, I think I have just about every color of Coastline. And I did that especially because I love the striped sweater, and I want to make sure that I can do that. That green is so pretty up there, really nice. So that's those were the things that I wanted to show you on this show. And if there's anything else, tonight what I'm going to do is, I had mentioned this morning about this kit and how this is a great little pattern on here, but there was something else that I wanted to do with it. So I started winding the yarn before this show started. And I'm going to work with these 4 colors. I figured they'd be fun for summer. And I'm going to create a summer shawl. And I'm going to be using this pattern, this Arabella, which normally calls for 12 skeins, 12 mini skeins. I'm going to do it with 4. So I'm going to create the same idea using less yarn, and I'll still have that same look of the gradient, the short row sizes, the short row lengths here, but I'm going to have it in different colors as opposed to a gradient skein. So I'm looking forward to working on that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I said my creative thinking cap is always on, and always looking for different ways that we can make our yarns look different. Again, thinking beyond that skein to bring you the most creative ideas that are out there and the best yarns that we can find. So remember to go online, and we've got one more show today. We've got tomorrow at 9, 12, 3, 6, and 9. Maybe I'll knit in between, who knows? And then again on Sunday. So we've got Saturday, Sunday coming up. I'm going to keep it moving as much as I can to keep you excited about the yarns and the different things and tips and ideas. Be sure to share the post with your friends. Let's get as many people on as we possibly can. Talk it up to all your buddies, and go to nittygrittyyarngirl.com. Take a look at the yarns and see if there's anything I can help you with. Linda Bro, let's get together after the show and see if I can help you out. I'll talk to you soon. We'll see you at 9.